Namaste, Bini Haru. This is Kathleen Dede, and I want to show you quickly how to make some beads with all of the veneers that you've made with Christine Dede. So first, you've already made these barrel beads is what we call them. And so I know you know how to make these beads. So what we will do is I've made different sizes here. And this is the largest size. Put those away. And you can see it's on a skewer. And then I actually take, after I wrap the clay around it, and some of you may not know how to do this, but others do, and so I want you to teach each other how to wrap the clay around the rod, the skewer, and then after you've wrapped it around and smoothed out the seam, then you take a tile and you roll it to make it nice and smooth and even. Now, these are my veneers. These aren't the ones like Christine Dede's. These are my own, but I will show you how to wrap these, excuse me, with veneers. Now first, we have many veneers here, and which ones work together and which ones don't, and there's a lot of decision making. You remember these are from when I was visiting you. We made these veneers, and I think I will put this on, but first I'm going to trim it so that it's nice and even. Now, this has not been baked, and because it's not been baked, I can just put the veneer onto it. If it had been baked already, I would need to use some liquid polymer. So I'm just very easily and gently wrapping that on. And I need to put more on, don't I? So you really need to match up the stripes. Whoop, that's not going to work. So let's go in this direction. Okay, that works. Now I'm going to very gently, with a sharp blade, cut this. Oops, that's not matching. Look at that. Because of the changes. Remember the changes in those canes? But we'll just do it anyway. Normally, you want these all to match. And that's a little bit twisted, isn't it? So I'm just going to... You notice I used gray in the middle. It can be any color. It can be scrap. Gray seems to work well. Isn't that something? I'd forgotten that we made Skinner blends in these stripes. Okay, now let me see. I don't like these together. They need a separation, don't they? Something that contrasts. What about, I've got this long yellow. What if we use this long yellow one? Now, it doesn't really matter if you start where the seam was already or if you start somewhere else. But I'm very gently wrapping this all the way around. And then you can use this kind of blade or this kind of blade. And I kind of pinch those together so the seam doesn't show. And if they're not quite even, I'm going to trim that. Okay, now I'm going to put this one on, and I'm lining them up so they are not overlapping. They are up against each other like this. They are not like that. Oh, I forgot to mention, the thickness of these veneers is very, very thin. I sliced these at the thinnest setting I could get on my machine. So you want these to be very thin. And once again, these are not quite even, so I'm going to cut that very gently. And then we need one more section in there. Now these have rounded edges, and I actually should have cut them so they weren't rounded. Okay, now I'm going to cut this off, make it so it matches up and doesn't overlap. You're working very carefully. Okay, so we've got that. I don't know if I like that or not, but I am going to cover this entire tube. Now that's a big bead, isn't it? Well, we're going to slice it up afterwards, but in a way that you probably won't think about. So I want something thin here. I like this color and I like this. So I'm actually going to slice off a piece. Oops. Darn. That wasn't good. Ah, stop it. It's falling apart. Okay, I'm going to cut another one. Okay, now I'm going to put the black against the red. Ooh, it's going all the way around. Yay! That's easy. It's overlapping. You don't want it to overlap. You want it to come together. Whoops, come on. There. Okay, so at this point I can take my tile and now I bet that most of you think I'm going to cut beads like this and maybe that, or this and that, but I'm not going to. I am going to make a real thin bead here. Now, because I made those stripes a little bit messy, whoops, I'm doing the wrong side. I'm going to cut a thin bead off the end, and I go all the way to the rod in the middle. Now I'm going to cut right in the middle. I'm not cutting at the end, I'm cutting in the middle so that each bead will have maybe 3 strips. This one only has 1. Okay, now I'm thinking maybe right. And then there are patterns that are quite regular. The colors there are lights and darks, reds and blues, reds and yellows, greens and blacks. There's lots of contrast, but I think these will make some really nice beads. So now we'll bake them, and then we'll twist them off of the rod. Okay, I'll show you them all finished.